I've been working a lot with the F1, and I can tell you I love my desktop air purifier. But the F1 Ultra needs something a little bit more substantial. Enter xTools SafetyPro AP2 Air Purifier with Super Cyclone System. As I sit here and watch this video as I'm editing it, I just got to tell you guys, no one packs a laser like xTools. Man, it is snug as a bug in that box. So, the AP2 has easy access to the filters with a magnetic lid right here that comes off. It has 6 different filters. It has a super cyclone filter right here. It has a pre-filter, which will get about 90% intercept from visible substances. Then it has the medium efficiency filter, which gets 95% of the fine dust. Then comes the activated carbon layer, the ultra dense carbon mesh, and then finally the HEPA filter. These filters easily come out by pulling on this, and you can take these out, the cyclones, and you can wash these. And they go back in very easily. You may ask, what does the super cyclone do? It gets about 99% of the larger particles, which will expand the life expectancy about 10 times of the other filters. All 6 of these filters weigh about 20 pounds. The AP2 has filter life cycle monitoring through the app. And believe it or not, this thing has auto mode. So when you start using the F1 Ultra or the S1, it will automatically turn on and off. The AP2 is rated up to 220 watts. And you're wondering how loud this is. It's about 55 decibels, the same as the xTools smoke purifier. This is a SafetyPro IF2 Hyperflow Inline Duct fan. Whew, that's a mouthful right there. It costs about $161.10 right now on sale. It has dual fans. That means ultra fast exhaust. Once this thing gets dirty, you can go ahead and wash it in the sink. Just rinse it off. Just make sure it's unplugged. This thing is waterproof. I know what you're saying. I've had these inline fans before and they didn't work very well. This one has an upgraded motor, which has about 3 times the suction of a normal one. And if you don't want this sitting on your desktop, you can just put it on the side by using the bracket that's supplied. You know, I talked about the dual fan turbo boost. Well, just so you know, it has 14,000 RPM, that's times 2, and it also has 200% exhaust efficiency. This thing has a smart mode, and what it does is it turns on and off with your laser. It also tailors the speed of it to the material you use. You may be asking, is this compatible with other lasers? As long as it has a 3-inch duct, I think you're okay. But if you have an adapter, you can go smaller. And the old one was 40 watts, while this is 100 watts. Look, I don't have any of those fancy smoke generators to see the smoke going through. I don't have anything to test the airflow. So what I'm going to do is just use regular experience by lasering some stuff. We'll go to the back side of the fan, see how it looks there, and then we'll come back and we'll put the new AP2 on there and see how the smoke is from there. I will tell you how it smells. I'm going to do a little bit of acrylic too, and we all know how that smells, and we'll see if I can still smell it when I got the AP2 hooked up. I'm also going to hook up the IF2 and see how that pushes it towards the door without the AP2 connected. So let's go ahead and test those. I'm not sure how I can prove to you guys that it does a good job. So what I want to try is doing some engraving on some 3mm plywood, and then we're going to do some embossing with a slate coaster. We're going to do it without the AP2 attached and with it attached, and see how much it collects up, I guess, or see how much better it is. Let's go ahead and check it out. I put you off to a slight angle so we'll be able to see how the smoke goes into the fan. I'm not sure if you can see the smoke, but it's coming right out the back side there. And the smell of burnt wood is permeating throughout the shop right now. So here we are again. Now it's hooked up and it's running. So let's go around back. It's now coming out right here. And I've got no discernible smoke smell as I bring it up to my face. So I've gone ahead and thrown some black acrylic on here. Everybody that's done black acrylic understands about the noxious smell of it. It's not good to breathe in. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to hook up the AP2 and I'm just going to do a smell test and see if I can smell it coming out of there. It says it takes up about 99% of smells. So let's test that. All right, I am down here where the air outtake is at, and I'm smelling it, and I'm not getting any smell of the acrylic. So I'm going to say that's pretty successful to get that smell out of there. It feels kind of good. It's kind of hot in my shop right now. And to make this a fair test, you can see the smoke going through there. I'm going to go ahead and shut the enclosure so all of the debris will go up towards that fan. Again, it's very hard to see the debris coming out, but there is some coming out, and you can hear little bits of it hitting the fan in there, so there is some coming out. And that's getting up in the air and coming back here. We'll get a big bunch of soot right here. Right here is what it looks like when it's done doing a larger coaster. I've now attached the AP2 air hose, and you can see now it's getting collected. It'll go up here, and then the fresh air will come out through this fan right here. Let's see how much debris is on the inside after about an hour of use here. Let's go ahead and take the filters out of the AP2 and see what they look like. Before I talk about it, I just want to show you this embossing right here. Look at that, is just fantastic. Now let's check out how dirty it is after all that embossing and engraving. You can see the dirt here. I'm going to take this apart. You can see how dirty these are. And all you got to do is take them out and take this and go wash it out in the sink and let it dry out and put it right back in. Here is the first filter. See how black it is from that? And as you get down to the next filter, see how clean that is? So it's doing a good job of filtering everything out. So I've got the IF2 hooked up right here. It's hooked up to the F1 Ultra, and I want to run it. And what I do is I got a handful of shavings from when I did some sawing on my saw, and I'm going to put that in front of there. It's probably about 8 feet from where the fan is at, so you can see the force of the blowing. Now I've got this going really good and a lot of smoke. All right, that went well. Let me go ahead and give you my pros and cons for both machines. I'm going to start with the cons because I like to end on a positive mark. And with my first thing I'm going to do, let's talk about the AP2. So the first con I have is the price. Right now it's at $6.99. Normal price is $1,000. That's out of reach of most of the home DIYers. If you have a small business, it may be worth it to get that because you're going to be lasing a little bit more and a little bit different of materials. I'm sitting here editing the video and my wife made a realization for me. I'm not being fair to xTool on their pricing. xTool does a lot of R&D and it does cost a lot of money to get to where they're at with their product. $1,000 for an air purifier of this quality probably isn't unrealistic. If you do it in the civilian market without using lasers and stuff like that, you're going to pay a lot more for a good purifier. xTool offers the AP2 at $499 if you already own an xTool. Okay, let's get back to my review so I can talk about a few more points. This thing is big. It's also very heavy at 20.7 kilograms. That's about 46 pounds. So it is large. You got to make sure you have room. The good thing is it has casters on the bottom and it can roll. My next con are the filters. Let me explain. The filters are great, but they cost anywhere from $20 to $45 each. When you have to replace those, it's going to be a major expense. Whoa. Okay, my wife again pointed out that I'm not being fair. These filters overall, if you bought all of them together, would be $161. That's not a significant amount of money. But the cool thing is the Super Cyclone filter is washable and it takes care of a lot of the materials that go into the filters. The xTool filters last 10 times longer than other filters on the market. And to check the lifespan, you do have the app that shows all the lifespan of each filter individually. Because it definitely depends on how much you're lasering and what you're lasering. All right, moving on to the pros. Number one pro, it filters out about 99.9% of everything. I love that. It helps save your lungs. And you saw it when you do embossing. Yeah, you get a mess unless you have something hooked up to it. You know, I said it earlier, it's expensive, but what are your lungs worth? I mean, it's going to cost you a lot more if you're lasing in here without some sort of air purification or some way to vent it and something happens to you. So I think that's a big pro, that it helps filter out everything and it's worth that cost. The next pro is the looks. This thing looks slick. xTool constantly reinvents what a laser should look like or an accessory should look like, and this thing is no different. This thing is a beautiful piece of art. My final pro for this is that it is easily accessed. That magnetic front that you can just pull off doesn't mean you have to pop everything off. You saw me take the screws out of the top Cyclone filter. It came out easy. The filters can pull out and it looks nice. I mean, it just very easily maintained. All right, let's move on to the IF2. I want to start off by saying I don't really use these fans. I never have. I've got a garage door over here for my workshop and I just open the garage door and all the fumes like to go out that way. But in the winter, I have to keep that door shut because it gets pretty cold around here. And I'd have to move my table a little bit closer or buy more of the tubing. The fan for somebody that has a window or something like that in their apartment is a fantastic addition. I only have one con for this, and that's the price. At $161 for an inline fan is pretty expensive. But it may be useful to somebody in a home setting or an apartment setting. Or even if you have a workshop and you're right next to a window or you have a place to vent out. Okay, last caveat as I'm editing this. The IF2, if you already have an xTool product, is only $129. And since there's a Black Friday sale going on right now, I think xTool users can use that to substantially lower their cost for items they need for their lasers. I think one of the major pros to this is the suction for the exhaust and then the pressure pushing it out. You saw all the resin tailings blow off my hand and it was pretty forceful there. I think another great pro is the fact that you can rinse this off in the sink. It's completely waterproof. I think that helps because fans get dirty and you got to get into the nooks and crannies and try to wipe them out. This one, you just run it under the water, dry it off a little bit and slap it back in the case. That's all my pros and cons for the IF2. If we're talking about the AP2 and the IF2 together, I'm not sure I would need both. I think that the AP2 is a great filtration system. I think it's all I need in my shop for my lasers. If I was in an apartment setting and I couldn't afford to buy the larger purification system, yes, I would absolutely get the inline fan and have it go out the window. So my final thoughts are that xTool is continuously innovating products for the laser field. They are pioneers on everything. I don't think any other laser company is being as innovative as xTool when it comes to new products. I mean, it was just last year when they came out with the F1. Now they've got the F1 Ultra. It's got a fiber IR laser in it. So I think that they've done their research. They've tested all their equipment. By the time anyone gets them, I think they've worked out most of the bugs. So in the end, would I suggest you buy either one of these products? I would absolutely give an A+ to this purifier. If you can afford that for your business, I think it's a great investment. You won't have the smell or the dust everywhere. The inline fan, if you're in a small house or an apartment or something like that and you need to vent to the outside, absolutely, you can't beat that thing. It is very strong and it's something that I would buy if I was in your situation. All right, guys. I'm not saying that I'm a fanboy for xTool, but I think I might be a fanboy of xTool. I've said it in the past. These guys come out with some fantastic stuff. Their R&D is amazing, that they can predict what we need before we know we need it. All right, I'm going to go ahead and put all the products down below, links to every product down below. All right, I appreciate you guys watching. If you have any questions, head on down to the comment section. Let me know. I'm going to put all the links to all this equipment down below in the description. And until next video, stay cool.